What if I told you that centuries before Einstein formulated E or MC2, alchemists were already manipulating energy and light in ways our modern physics is only beginning to understand? Welcome to the frontier between science and mystery, where the past holds secrets that could revolutionize our future. What we call alchemy wasn't just the obsessive quest to transform lead into gold. In the shadows of medieval laboratories, among coded manuscripts and enigmatic apparatus, there existed a sophisticated science of light and energy that challenges our modern understanding. Let's dive into this universe where lumen naturae, the inner light of nature, was manipulated through techniques that, surprisingly, echo concepts of contemporary quantum physics. As we venture deeper into the alchemical world, we discover a startling truth. These weren't merely superstitious men fumbling in the dark. They were operating with a coherent framework of energetic physics that modern science is only now beginning to appreciate. Picture ancient laboratories bathed in amber candlelight, where practitioners meticulously documented their work in cryptic symbols and metaphors. Not out of secrecy alone, but because they were grappling with phenomena that transcended the language of their time. What if these elaborate codes weren't meant to obscure, but to precisely describe energetic transformations beyond the vocabulary of medieval Europe? The alchemical concept of lumen naturae, this inner light of nature, bears remarkable parallels to what we now understand as quantum fields and information networks. When an alchemist spoke of awakening the sleeping light within matter, they weren't being poetic. They were describing what we might now recognize as manipulating the energetic potential within atomic structures. Titus Burckhardt, the Swiss metaphysician who reconstructed alchemical science, revealed how these practitioners developed precise techniques for working with vibrational frequencies and resonance between systems. Imagine standing in a 15th century stone chamber, watching an alchemist carefully adjust the heat beneath a sealed vessel, not randomly, but according to specific cycles timed to astronomical movements, creating what we might now call resonant fields that facilitated energetic transformations. What's truly mind-bending is how alchemists understood transmutation. While we've dismissed their work as primitive chemistry, their actual framework was far more sophisticated. They weren't just mixing substances, they were creating conditions where matter could shift between different energetic states. Sound familiar? It should. It's remarkably similar to how modern physics describes phase transitions and quantum state changes. But here's where it gets truly fascinating. The alchemical opus, their great work, wasn't just about physical transformations. It operated simultaneously on multiple levels of reality. When they spoke of purifying matter, they were describing processes that affected both the physical substance and what we might now call its informational or energetic blueprint. What if they had discovered, through centuries of careful observation, that consciousness and matter were interconnected in ways our materialist science is only beginning to consider? Consider the Emerald Tablet, one of alchemy's foundational texts, which states, "That which is below is like that which is above, and that which is above is like that which is below." Modern physicists might recognize this as describing scale, invariance, or fractal patterns in nature, principles now fundamental to chaos theory and complex systems. But what if these ancient practitioners weren't just theorizing? What if they had developed practical techniques for manipulating these energetic patterns? The historical record shows alchemists creating substances with properties that puzzled contemporary observers. Luminous materials, compounds with unusual healing properties, metals with altered characteristics. Were they accessing aspects of matter's potential that our standardized scientific approach has overlooked? And what about the infamous Philosopher's Stone? Far from a literal rock that turned metals to gold, what if it represented a state of matter with extraordinary energetic properties? Perhaps something akin to what modern science might call a superconductor or quantum coherent state. The deeper we look, the more we find that alchemical laboratories were conducting sophisticated energetic experiments, creating what we might now call entangled systems or coherent fields. But here's the crucial question. What if they were approaching these phenomena from a completely different paradigm than our own? One that integrated consciousness and matter rather than separating them? Could it be that in our rush to develop a purely materialistic science, we've overlooked an entire dimension of natural phenomena that the alchemists were adept at manipulating? What hidden knowledge might be waiting for rediscovery in those cryptic manuscripts and symbolic diagrams? Here's where our journey takes an unexpected turn. What if the most revolutionary aspect of alchemy wasn't its chemistry at all, but its understanding of light as the fundamental building block of reality? When Newton, himself a dedicated alchemist, locked himself away to study light, he wasn't just laying the groundwork for optics. His alchemical manuscripts reveal he was pursuing something far more profound: the understanding that light itself might be the prima materia, the first matter from which everything else emerges. Centuries before quantum physics would suggest that particles are essentially excitations in underlying fields, alchemists were describing light as the fundamental substrate of existence. But here's the mind-blowing revelation. While modern science separated observer from experiment, alchemists integrated consciousness directly into their work. Their manuscripts describe precise states of awareness required for certain operations to succeed. What if they had discovered something our double-blind studies and mechanical instruments miss entirely? That consciousness itself is a form of light that can interact directly with the light energy basis of matter? The implications are staggering. In the alchemical framework, the human mind wasn't separate from the energetic operations being performed. It was an essential component of the experimental apparatus. This isn't mystical thinking. It's a fundamentally different approach to physics that includes the observer as part of the system being observed. Sound familiar? It should. It's precisely the conundrum that quantum physics stumbled into in the early 20th century, when researchers discovered that the act of observation affects quantum outcomes. Consider this. Documents from the 16th century describe alchemists using meditative techniques to achieve specific brainwave states before performing certain laboratory operations. They believed, and recorded in their journals, that these mental states created resonance with the materials they were working with. Modern neuroscience has only recently begun studying how focused attention and meditative states might affect physical systems through mechanisms we're just beginning to understand. What's particularly shocking is that some alchemical texts describe what appears to be the manipulation of time within their experimental systems, creating what they called philosophical months, where processes that would normally take much longer could be accelerated. Is this merely poetic language? Or were they discovering principles of temporal dynamics that our linear conception of time doesn't easily accommodate? The historical record shows that certain alchemical laboratories achieved results that baffled their contemporaries. Paracelsus created medicines that produced effects no conventional preparation could explain. Count Saint-Germain reportedly demonstrated material transformations that violated the understood chemistry of his day. Were these mere charlatans, or were they working with aspects of energy and matter that conventional science hasn't recognized? Perhaps most provocative of all, what if the legendary ability to transmute lead into gold wasn't about creating yellow metal for wealth, but represented something far more profound? The understanding that all matter is essentially condensed light energy that can be reconfigured at a fundamental level. This would place alchemists not as failed proto-chemists, but as early quantum physicists working with a paradigm that integrated consciousness and matter rather than separating them. And here's the question that should keep us awake at night. What if they were right? As we emerge from this journey through the hidden science of light, we're left with a profound question. What might happen if we reintegrated these alchemical insights with our modern scientific framework? The divide between ancient wisdom and contemporary physics may be more artificial than we've assumed. Today's cutting-edge research in quantum biology is discovering that living systems harness quantum effects at body temperature, something previously thought impossible. Photosynthesis, bird navigation, and even our sense of smell appear to utilize quantum coherence and entanglement. What if alchemists, with their holistic approach to nature's inner light, had intuited these principles centuries ago? The manuscripts they left behind might not just be historical curiosities, but roadmaps to aspects of reality our specialized sciences have overlooked. Their integration of consciousness and matter, their understanding of resonance and vibrational frequencies, their techniques for manipulating energetic states, all of these deserve fresh examination with modern analytical tools. Perhaps the most valuable alchemical transmission isn't a formula for physical gold, but something far more precious, a complementary paradigm that could help us solve the deepest puzzles in contemporary physics. As we stand at the threshold of new discoveries in quantum information, dark energy, and consciousness studies, the alchemical understanding of light as the fundamental reality might offer unexpected insights. The next time you see light streaming through your window, remember, you're witnessing what might be the most fundamental phenomenon in our universe, one that ancient alchemists dedicated their lives to understanding. And perhaps, in their forgotten manuscripts and cryptic symbols, they left us keys to unlock doors. Our modern science is only now approaching. If this exploration into history's hidden sciences has illuminated your curiosity, join our expedition through time by subscribing to Mystery Hunter. Together, we'll continue unearthing the forgotten wisdom that connects our past to our future, revealing that sometimes the most revolutionary discoveries aren't ahead of us. They're behind us, waiting to be rediscovered. What ancient science will we illuminate next? The answer awaits in our next adventure through time.